Hi, welcome to Budget MTG Decks. All magic fun, all cards under $1. I'm David.
I'm Stefan.
And today we're going to be looking at all the blue cards in Hour of Devastation.
So you can evaluate them for limited, like draft or sealed. And like for your pre-release, we're coming up. And we'll get 4 packs of Hour of Devastation and 2 packs of Amonkhet.
Exactly, we reviewed all the cards in Amonkhet, so click on the card right now on your screen so you can have a look at those cards. Also, we're going to be evaluating all these cards according to our 3-tiered system. Tier 1, your bombs, unconditional removal. These are the cards that are going to be winning you the game. Tier 2, really strong. It's an auto-include if you're already in that color, otherwise it pushes you into that color. Tier 3, these are good filler cards. Make sure your mana curve is filled out properly. And lastly, the cards are too situational or just really bad. Those are the cards we're going to put aside. Without further ado, let's have a look at the common cards.
The first common is Unsummon. It's 1 blue instant, return to a creature to its owner's hand. It's not that great normally, but with Amonkhet, the Bomb, and in this set Eternalize, you will get some really nice tokens that you can unsummon. So it's actually removable, and even if you don't have a token to remove, it's still the tempo swing. So it'll take turn to play it, then he wants to attack, then you unsummon it, and then has to play it again. And if he didn't, if already played something, then it still have to wait with the bomb another turn.
Yeah.
So tier 3.
Especially because it's also only just 1 mana and instant speed.
Yeah,
pushes it into tier 3 territory.
Because you don't really have much mana, you have to keep open.
No, exactly. Next card, Proven Combatant. For 1 blue, we get a 1/1 human warrior with Eternalize 6. Okay, yeah, this is not good. A 1/1 for 1 is just terrible. A 1/1 for 1 with flying is also not good. This one's got Eternalize for a whopping 6 mana. It's just not good enough. Just not good enough. Just put it aside.
And the next one, Unquenchable Thirst. It's 1 and a blue. It's an aura, enchant creature. When Unquenchable Thirst enters the battlefield, if you control a desert or is a desert card in your graveyard, tap enchant creature. And enchant creature doesn't untap during the control's untap step. So, like we said before with pacifism, it's unconditional removal, so just play it. The thing is, if you play it on an untapped creature and it attacks, it will be the last time it's attacked. So that's already nice. So you like trying to like dissuade the opponent to attacking, so that's also really nice. And then you don't die.
Yeah, most of the cases it is such a strong removal spell. Remember, people are going to have to tap their creatures to attack, and basically that's the last time they're going to be attacking. And also, there's a lot of deserts in this set. I do think it's realistic, especially late game when they play their bomb, that you will have either cycled away a desert or have a desert on the table. And then what do? You play it on their bomb for just 2 mana, and it's going to tap their bomb, and then they can't use it. Super, super strong tier 2.
Exactly.
Played every single time. Next card, Strategic Planning. For 1 and a blue, we're going to have Sorcery. So for 2 mana, we're going to be able to look at the top 3 cards of our library, and then put 1 of them into our hand and the rest into our graveyard. Okay, so it fills our graveyard maybe with an Eternalizer and Embalm creature, and it also replaces itself, and it also allows us to dig for what we need. We might need a land at that point in time. We may be looking for a bomb. I think this is really good. Doesn't push it in tier 2, obviously, but I mean, it's a very decent filler card.
Yeah, it does a lot of things, and that's really nice.
Solid, yeah.
Cunning Survivor, 1 and a blue, human warrior, 1/3, and that's already pretty good because a 1/3 can block all the bears, it can block all the X1s, so that's nice. And when you recycle or discard a card, Cunning Survivor gets +1/+0 until end of turn and can't be blocked this turn.
That's big, yeah.
Yeah, so if you cycle, discard a couple things, it will become bigger, unblockable, so just the last couple damage, maybe swing in for that.
Yeah.
So it's not that great, but it's good filler.
I think it's already a filler just by being for 2 mana 1/3, so that's okay, fine, with the potential to be a 2/3 unblockable sometimes. That is just that upside is already really good. Once again, Stephen, as you said, not good enough to push into tier 2 territory, but high tier 3, definitely. Pick it highly in your filler spot. Next card, Spellweaver Eternal. For 1 and a blue, so for 2 we get a 2/1 Zombie Naga Wizard. Now I don't like 2/1s for 2 mana because they trade with all the tokens, and they usually don't get their value back. But this one's got 2 additional abilities. It's got Prowess, so then when we play a non-creature spell, it's going to get +1/+1 until the end of turn. So that's cool because with our Combat Trace instant speed, we're going to be able to turn it into a 3/2, which is nasty. And of course, even if we just play an enchantment, and then we can attack with a 3/2 anyway as well, for example, or an artifact, just all kinds of stuff. And it also has Afflict too, which means that even if they do block it, then it's still pushing through that extra 2 damage. Of course, with the 1 toughness, if they do block it, it will always die. So it will do the extra 2 damage one time, but I think it's pretty nice. Normally, these kind of cards, I would put them aside, but because of these additional 2 power abilities, especially the prowess, pushes it into tier 3, solid tier 3.
Isn't this the first card with Afflict?
It is the first card with Afflict, so, but we also explained what Afflict is, so
yeah.
It's okay.
Exactly.
Not very complicated.
No, it isn't. So it's really nice because if it's blocked, it still does the damage.
Yeah.
And it's the last couple damage, it's just like, it's always the damage comes through, and that's really nice.
Yeah, it kind of makes it an awkward. Afflict makes it awkward for your opponents because if they let it through, they take 2 damage, and if they block it, they take 2 damage. So then they're already in a bad position no matter what, and then they have to try and figure out, okay, am I going to trade a creature? Is that even a viable option at this point?
Exactly, and the thing is with this card, I really like with the prowess, because it's like, oh, I'm gonna not block, then I'll maybe take more. But what if I block? I also still take 2 damage, and if he
might lose my creature, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, cool.
So that's pretty cool.
Solid
yeah.
filler.
Arrow Guide. 2 and a blue, it's a 2/2 Drake with flying, so that's already really nice. And whenever Arrow Guide attacks, another attacking creature gains flying until end of turn. So it takes someone with him, so that's actually really nice, because you have a big fatty, you have your double striker cat, it gets flying now. So that's really nice, just get something in the air, you won't have many other things in the air, so that's so nice. So tier 2, if I see it, I want to play it.
Yeah, I'm already very happy for 3 mana to play 2/2s with flying, and this one's going to give maybe one of your Eternalized flying. That's insanity.
Anything.
Yeah, but just think about it. Just one of your Eternalized, that's a 4/4, and he's flying all of a sudden. That is really cray. Play it, be happy with it, and it's just an awesome picture as well. Countervailing Winds is next for 2 and a blue. It's an instant. We're going to counter target spell unless the controller plays 1 for each card in your graveyard. So it's a counter spell. It's also got cycling. It's also awkward because late game, it's not going to be counter spell. And for 3 mana, you should be able to counter something, period. But in limited, you want to be using your mana. You don't want to be leaving your mana open. It's bad early. It's bad late. It's a bad card. Put it aside.
That's all we have to say about it. Sea of the Last Tomorrow, 2 and a blue, 1/4 Naga Cleric, which I don't really like that much, because with all the Eternalized, the 4 toughness is a lot worse than normal. And you can 1 blue and tap it, discard a card, target player puts the top 2 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. So you tap it, you pay a mana for it, you discard a card from your hand, and then you mill 3.
And remember that milling somebody, so making them put cards from the top of their library into the graveyard, does absolutely nothing. Because you may think people make this argument that people always say, yeah, but I might mill away their bomb. Yeah, but you know what? Their bomb could be 4 cards down, and then you just help them draw their bomb next turn. So it's all statistics. It's always terrible. It doesn't give you any incremental advantage. And in fact, you actually lost a card because you had to discard a card for it.
And Eternalize and bomb. So you can target yourself, but it's still not going to do anything. Terrible.
Never play it. Next card is Tragic Lesson for 2 and a blue. It's an instant. We're going to draw 2 cards, then discard a card unless we return a land we control to its owner's hand. Normally for 3 mana, we'd like to be drawing 2 cards. It is instant speed, but that's really only relevant when we want to be keeping our mana open for draw spells or something like that, or counter spells which you shouldn't be playing. And in the end, so it's actually going to be, early game is going to be drawing you 1 card, which I just don't think it's enough. And best case scenario is going to draw you the 2, but then you do have to return a land late game, which you could play again if you didn't have a land. All in all, not great. There's better stuff. Just get something better. Just put the card aside.
I'm on the fence about it, but like
if you're on the fence, there's a lot of fine filler cards.
Yeah,
at 3 mana.
Yeah, the thing is,
play a 3-drop creature, right?
Exactly. So Avon Weedstalker, 2 and a blue, a 2/3 Bird Warrior, flash and flying. So that's already good filler. It's a 4 mana 2/3. Sure, it has flying, so that's nice, and it has flash, so that's really good.
I like this kind of stuff a lot, you know. So it's a surprise, so it's going to kill a bear when they attack into it, and the flying means it's, and actually the 3 toughness for flyer is pretty decent too.
Yeah, no, exactly. But yeah, the other one was cheaper for 2/3, so yeah, that's my thing. But still, it's a good thing because the flash makes it better for me.
Yeah, it makes it like it's a combat trick right there. Yeah, cool. Next one is Striped Riverwinder for 6 and a blue. So for 7 mana, we get a 5/5 Hexproof with cycling. Now this is really cool. We saw last set in Amonkhet, we had the big crocodile with Hexproof that was winning games all over the place. This is no different. This 5/5 with Hexproof is also going to be winning games. Problem is it's extremely expensive, so that pushes it out of tier 1 territory. Then again, it does have cycling, which is really nice. Early game, we're going to cycle this thing right away. And late game, when we draw it, we're going to be mana flooded, and then we play it. So it's tier 2, always played in blue.
Exactly. It's a big creature, and if you need a big creature, it's something with hexproof.
Yeah, cool. Those are the commons. Let's have a look at the uncommons. The first of our uncommons is Riddle Form. For 1 and a blue, we're going to get an enchantment that states that whenever we cast a non-creature spell, this guy is going to become a 3/3 Sphinx creature with flying in addition to its other things, which is enchantment. And we're also going to be able to scry 1 if we pay 2 and a blue, so for 3 mana. You may think, oh cool, every turn I'm going to be playing a combat trick, or I'm playing an enchantment, an artifact, planeswalker, it's going to be a 3/3 flyer every turn for just 2 mana. Awesome. The problem with this is that a lot of times it's not going to be anything. And we did spend the card, we spent the mana, and being able to pay 3 mana for what is essentially half a draw is just too much of an investment. And I think it's actually going to be doing very little most of the time. And you can think of a lot of scenarios where it's cool, where you play combat trick, and then it becomes a thing, then you can block with it, but most of the time it's just going to be terrible.
Yeah.
Put it aside.
The thing is, you need to have a lot of things. Like you always say, you need to jump through a lot of hoops before you can actually use it well.
Yeah, and there's going to be times when you need that hoop and you got another hoop, and then you need another hoop, and then this hoop, and then in the end you just try to jump, you didn't get anything, you hit, trip, fall, hit your face.
Exactly. I mean, it helps hoop jumping with the square, but still not enough.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Put it aside.
Next one, Jace's Defeat. 1 and a blue instant, counter target blue spell. If it was a Jace Planeswalker spell, scry 2. Like we see with Genius Defeat, and we'll see with the other defeats, it's not good enough because it's color specific and oh no, counter Planeswalker, but still, it's not good enough. Just put it aside.
Yeah.
So next one, Senior Striker. It's 2 and a blue. It's a 2/2 Naga Warrior, and for blue, Senior Striker gets +1 and -1 until end of turn. So it is a 3 mana 2/2, which isn't that great. It can get be a 3/1, which still isn't that great because you have to pay a mana for it. But it has Internalize for 3 and 2 blue, and then it's a 4/4 that can grow. So
6 damage can do.
Yeah. So it can actually 7 damage then.
4, 5, 6. No, 4, 5. That's 6 damage, right?
4 minus 3 plus
minus 3, of course. Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
That's 7 damage. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a lot of damage. But all in all, it's still just the regular card is terrible.
Yeah.
The Eternalize, because it's also for 5 mana. If it would be Eternalized for 6 mana, I'd say just put it aside. If it's 5 mana, it's okay. And being able to push through if it's not blocked. If it would be able to pump its toughness, that would be super nice.
That would be super nice. But
that would be super nice.
Still, you need to choose something.
You need to choose something. I would choose the push, pumping of the toughness. But are you unhappy using it as a filler card?
No, not really, because it still has that pumping of the power anyways. And if you really need to, you can kill it yourself. And
then you can Eternalize it. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Well, that's not really that great.
Don't do that. Next we have Eternal of the Harsh Truths for 2 and a blue. So for 3 mana we get a 1/3 zombie cleric. I don't like the power toughness for what we're paying for right now already. It's got a flick 2, which doesn't mean that people are going to say, okay, if I block it, I'm going to take 2 damage. If I don't block it, I take 1 damage, so I want to let it through. But then it says that whenever this guy attacks and isn't blocked, we're going to draw a card. So then think, wait a second, I don't want them to draw a card, so I will block it. Which means that this thing's essentially a 2-power creature when it's attacking, because it's going to be doing 2 damage. Basically like a 2/3 unblockable. essentially. And a 2/3 unblockable for 3 is actually pretty good. So filler card. However, it's not going to be drawing you any cards.
Yeah, but it's not really unblockable because it can be blocked by a 3/2 and it just dies.
True, that's true. So that makes it worse. Otherwise, it would have probably been maybe tier 2.
Exactly.
Or flying would be good. Yeah.
But still, the thing is, instantly drawing cards and always doing damage is just pretty nice. So that's why it's tier 3.
Yeah, yeah. Next card is Supreme Will for 2 and a blue. It's an instant. We're going to choose one of these two options. Either we're going to counter target spell unless the controller pays 3. So that is a mana leak effect. And we're going to be able to look at the top 4 cards of our library, put one of them into our hand and the rest at the bottom of our library in any order. We're going to choose one of those 2 for 3 mana. Normally we say counter spells, don't play them. It leaves our mana open, we can't do anything. This is an exception. This is actually really strong because having to pay that extra 3 mana, even late game, well, very late game, of course, is not going to do anything. But early game is definitely going to be able to counter something. And if you left that mana open and you didn't counter something, you can just use the second ability and then look for something good. Put it into your hand in the top 4 cards, which is actually super, super strong.
Yeah, I really like this one. I just always play this, tier 2.
Yeah.
I just really like this one because and you have the counter and you have the draw. So it's like everything you kind of want.
Yeah, you're going to... It's always going to be able to do something you want.
Yeah.
And that is super, super strong. Next card, Stefan, what do we got?
Vizier of the Anointed. 3 and a blue, it's a 2/4 human cleric. And when Vizier of the Anointed enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a creature card with Eternalize or Embalm and put that into your graveyard, then shuffle your library. So, 4 mana 2/4, it's not bad at all, it's already a filler.
Yeah.
And then it searches for a creature card that can come back from your graveyard to the battlefield. You put it in your graveyard already, so that's already nice, especially Eternalized. Like we said before, a couple things aren't that great normally, but Eternalized it's pretty good. And after that, if you Embalm or Internalize a creature, you draw a card. So especially it does so many things, and I just always want to play it.
Yeah.
Because it puts your thing in your graveyard that you want, and if you do the thing that you want to do, you draw a card.
And it's already a 2/4/4/4. So it's already decent.
So
it's so strong.
Tier 2, play it.
Always. Super nice. Next card is Imaginary Threats for 2 and 2 blues. So for 4 mana, it's an instant. Creatures target opponent controls attack this turn if able, and during that player's next untap step, those creatures are not going to be untapping. So it's got cycling too. Okay. Once again, this is the kind of card where you think, this is so cool, I'm going to make them do something they don't want to do, and then they're going to be tapped out and not going to attack. The problem is, if you're in a losing proposition, they're going to want to attack you anyway, and you're forcing them to attack, sure, and that may even cause you to die by doing that. So it's not going to put you in any situation where you want to play it. And then there's too many moments in time when this is going to be doing nothing, maybe it's too early, you don't want to waste it. Sure, you can cycle it away, fine, but I just think 9 out of 10 times you don't want to force your opponent. You want to force your opponent to not attack you. You don't want to force your opponent to attack you. So I'm gonna say put it aside. Dangerous card.
Exactly. What I do like about this card though is that you can cast it after declared attackers. So everything that attacked is tapped. It cannot just untap anymore. So it doesn't force him to attack you.
No. On the other hand, if you are going to be expecting to do that anyway, and they're going to attack with their best stuff, why not play it anyway? Force them to attack with also their not good stuff, their utility creatures, and at least you can try and kill those.
Exactly. So all in all, it's just not good enough.
It's just not good enough. Try to not focus on the scenarios where it could work, and try and think of every other scenario where you're going to be playing and where it won't work. What you want to do. Ominous Sphinx is next, and that is for 3 and 2 blues. So for 5 mana, we get a 4/4 flyer. I'm already very happy about that. 4/4 flyer for 5, very happy about that. Next, whenever you cycle or discard a card, target creature opponent controls gets -2, -0 to end of turn. With a potential upside, sometimes it may happen, usually it won't. Regardless, even if that would be blank, I would always play it because a 4 toughness, a 4 power and toughness thing in the air for 5 mana is going to be winning you the game. I say tier 1. Just always include it.
Yeah, it's just
with potential upside also on top of that.
And that's what makes it tier 1 because the upside normally like 4/4 flyer already good. It's tier 2, but
this pushes it to
exactly the upside is just
nasty. Because of course those cycle those cycle abilities, those are abilities, which means they're instant speed. So you can blow people out and have them lose creatures when they thought they'd be trading or when they thought they'd be winning. So that it's really, really more powerful than you may think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, awesome. Those are the uncommons. Let's have a look at the rares.
So the first rare is Nimble Obstructionist. It's 2 and a blue. It's a 3/1 bird wizard with flash and flying and cycling for 2 and a blue. And when you cycle Nimble Obstructionist, counter target activate or trigger ability you don't control. So you can counter Eternalize or something like that.
Embalm, yeah.
Exactly. And that's pretty cool actually. That's really nice for 3 mana. And if you don't counter something, you have a 3/1 with flash and flying. So end of turn, you're waiting for your opponent, he doesn't Eternalize, sure, just drop a 3/1 flying. And that's actually pretty nice.
Yeah.
Because the versatility for me is why it puts it in tier 2. Especially with all the good Eternalized creatures.
It is top tier 2 for me even, because just already the fact that it's flash flying 3/1 would put it already close to tier 2 for me. The fact that also, for example, into the battlefield abilities, you can counter that, which is pretty sweet. There's a lot of that stuff. So the Embalm, the Eternalize, enter the battlefield abilities, the whole shebang is going to be able to stop that. And of course, when somebody thinks, hey, they don't have anything fire, I'm going to make sure that I can just attack and stuff, and then end of their turn, you play this one, and then you attack with them on your turn with a 3/1 flyer. That is going to be a lot of damage that they were not expecting.
Yeah, exactly, because no one really expects like a 3 power suddenly flying. So
this card should actually be called Spanish Inquisition, right? Next card we have is Champion of Wits for 2 and a blue, and we get a 2/1. So I don't like the power and toughness for what we're paying. But now you're a wizard. Let's see what we got. When this guy enters the battlefield, you may draw cards equal to its power. If you do, discard 2 cards. Okay, so essentially it's going to come in. It's going to loot us for 2.
Yeah.
And it's also got Eternalize for 7. So then it's going to come in as a 4/4. And essentially we're going to draw 4 cards, discard 2 cards. So then we're going to be gaining 2 cards. Pretty sweet. What do you think?
I like this one because in the beginning you can like play it, look for like, what are my best cards if I need something, and in the end it's already still good. Like if you top deck it, I mean if you top deck it maybe not that great, but late game if you play it for the Internalize, you just draw 4 cards, drop 2 cards, then you have still your best card. Like you can find 4 cards, you can search 4 cards, and that's so many cards.
And it's not going to be a 2/1, it's going to be a 4/4 by then, so it's actually okay, a relevant body as well.
Yeah.
I think the Eternalize may be a bit too expensive, but
maybe, but I think the 4 cards drawing, I think that will negate like how expensive it is.
That's true.
For me, I just always want to play it.
Yeah, the reason why I say I put it in tier 2 and not tier 3 is because this card, and this is a lot of cards that got pushed to tier 2, is that they're good early and they're good late. Yeah. And that is something that's not to be underestimated in Limited. When a card has functionality both early and late game, it basically doubles its value.
Exactly. The thing is, if you draw this late game, only way it's kind of bad, it's when you don't have any card in hand. And if you like have a land or anything in your hand and you play this on turn 7 or something for 3 mana, then you draw 2 cards. Oh, I have my bomb, sure, I'll play it or now or later still. So that's why I like this one.
Solid. Yeah. Next one, Fraying Sanity for 2 and a blue. It's an aura curse. We're going to enchant a player. At the beginning of each end step, enchanted player puts the top X cards in his or her library from her library into the graveyard, where X is the number of cards that were put into the graveyard from anywhere this turn. So if some cards went into the graveyard, then you're going to put twice as many. It's a mill strategy that doesn't work in Limited, so please don't try and pursue that. It's terrible. Don't play. Put it aside.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds fun, like it will be twice as fast, but it's always not good enough.
Yeah. You know, if you multiply the effective 0 times 2, it's still 0.
Hour of Eternity. And double X and 3 blue. A sorcery. Exile X target creature cards from your graveyard. For each card exiled that way, create a token that's a copy of that card, except it's a 4/4 black zombie. Which means you can Eternalize X cards in your graveyard, even if they don't have Eternalize. So that's actually really good, but it's really steep cost, and you have to have things that are kind of relevant in your graveyard, so tier 2, always play it, but it's not tier 1 because you have to have cards in your graveyard, it's really expensive, so yeah. But still, tier 2, you always want to play this.
Try and play this for 7 mana.
Yeah. Then
you got 2 things.
Yeah.
That's pretty decent, especially if you got one of those was a flyer, then also you got a 4/4 flyer. That's nothing to sniff at.
No, exactly, that's the cool thing about this. They get all the abilities of the things exiled.
Yeah, that's really not to be underestimated. Okay, then we have Kefnit's Last Word for 2 and 2 blue. So for 4 mana, we're going to gain, it's a sorcery, we're going to gain control of target artifact, creature, or enchantment, and then lands you control don't untap during the next untap step. This is, of course, part of the cycle where our lands don't untap. A lot of times we saw the white one, terrible. This one's actually really good. I'm going to put this in tier 2. Why? You may say, okay, but you're also losing a turn on this one. Sure, but you're doing 2 things. You're removing their best thing, and you are gaining the best thing on the battlefield. And that's a swing of 2 best things, let's say, and that I think is worth that 1 turn because you're doing 2 things that are, well, terrible for your opponent and great for you. And it's only 4 mana. I think that is really a great investment.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, it isn't an enchantment, so they can't get rid of this card to get her thing back. They have to kill it or unsummon it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Powerful.
Exactly. Swarm Intelligence. 6 and a blue enchantment. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you may copy that spell and then you may choose new targets for the copy. It is not great in limited because it's 7 mana, and how many instant sorceries will you have and how many instant sorceries will you have after you play this card? It's great in constructed, but in limited it's too late.
Yeah. Just it's a trap.
Yeah.
Don't play it. You're never going to get any value out of it.
Just put it aside.
Those are the last of the rares. Have a look at the mythic cards. The first and only of the mythics for blue is Unesh Cryosphinx Sovereign for 4 and 2 blue. So for 6 mana we get a 4/4 flyer. Okay, that's already okay. That's a decent card. It also says that Sphinx spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. Okay, that's not going to be relevant in limited, so you can just ignore that. Additionally, when this guy or another Sphinx enters the battlefield under your control, we're going to look at the top 4 cards of our library, and then our opponent is going to separate them into 2 piles, and then we get to take one of those piles, put it into our hand, and the other one goes into the graveyard. So it's always beneficial when we get to pick what is going to go into our hand. Our opponent sure can say, we put 3 cards into one pile, 1 into the other, then we're going to draw the 3, for example. That's 3 cards we're going to get. Otherwise, we're just going to get whatever is the best thing. We always get to pick, so we get to choose the best thing. So we're going to get at least a draw out of it. And don't worry too much about the fact whether you got to play a lot of other swinges. You don't need to. This just by itself, good enough. 4/4 flyer that also gives you draw. Super strong, winning you the game. Tier 1.
Exactly, and more swinges is just gravy. On its own, it's just so great already because you can put things in your graveyard that you want there. You can draw cards because of all the internalize and stuff like that. So it's really nice to get the choice to like, oh, you know what? Just put it in the graveyard.
Yeah.
So
super solid.
So good.
Nice. All right, those are the mythics. Let's have a look at the conclusion. In conclusion, I'm not super excited about blue. I do find it slightly better than white because we saw white was not one of the strongest colors in this set. Blue has a stronger propensity for the flyers, less for the removal. All in all, there's some really good cards, and there's still a lot of very bad cards, especially in the common and uncommon category. When, of course, we established for something to be your main color, if you need to be very excited about the color, you need to make sure there's a lot of solid common and uncommons. You can build a good deck with a lot of good cards in it, and just having that one rare, just having that one mythic is not going to be good enough. Well, it's probably going to be good enough to have it as a side color, but not good enough to build your whole deck around. Yes?
Yeah, the thing is, with blue and white, they're not the greatest colors, but they have the evasion. Yeah, they have the evasion, and that's actually really important because we've seen a couple good evasion creatures, like you said. It's not a main color, but it's something that I actually would still like not brush off.
No,
that's the whole thing.
Absolutely good point. The fact that there is removal, the fact that there is evasion, that's always something that you want to have in your deck. And blue and white are the 2 colors that are able to give that to you. And sure, maybe it doesn't have the 4/4 tramplers that green can have, or other sick abilities, the crazy other abilities that the black might have, or super aggro that red can have. But in the end, having that 2/2 or that 2 power in the air, having that 3 power in the air, that does win games.
Yeah.
So don't, as you said, don't neglect that off the cuff. But there's also no crazy commons and uncommons which I say, oh, you can just really just get 3 of these and then you're winning the game. No.
Oh yeah, we had the tier 1 uncommon swings.
Yes.
So
yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's pretty decent. That's true. That's a nice one. Also, join us on Facebook and on Twitter at Budget MTG Decks. We're going to be discussing these cards. Let us know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think blue has more to offer than white? Do you think white has more to offer than blue? What do you think about compared to the other colors? Stick around for that. Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel as well for the most powerful decks and advice everyone can afford. And don't forget to hit that little bell button next to the subscribe button because then you'll be notified when new videos come out. So if you subscribe but you don't hit that little bell button, then you won't know when new videos come out, which is kind of a stupid system, but YouTube has decided to do that. So hit that little bell as well. That's it. So thanks for watching. I'm David.
I'm Stefan.
And this was Budget MTG Decks.